When you're starting out new, you always want clients. You're going to give up when things get tough. What you do to make money, how does that look like? Oh, if I do this, I'm going to make X amount of dollars, where it hasn't been proven and tried. So I think that a better approach sometimes is to look at.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Infinite Icons. Today's guest is multi talented. She is a transformational coach, a practicing attorney, an author, and much more. She is committed to helping people with unlocking their potential and achieving meaningful goals. So let's welcome Kelli Malcolm. Hi, Kelli. Welcome to Infinite Icons.
Well, hi, good morning and welcome. Hi.
Oh, hi. How are you doing?
I am doing very well. It's a beautiful day here in Colorado.
Oh, so you're coming to us all the way from Colorado.
Yes, yes.
Is it as pretty as John Denver's songs?
I think he didn't even do the landscape service. It's absolutely beautiful here. It is. No matter what part of the state you're in, you can find golden moments, gems. It's wonderful. And there's always something to do in every season. So I'm a big
Beautiful.
fan of Colorado.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell us a little more about you and your company.
Well, I have two companies. One is my law practice, deals with family law. I originally started that work representing abused and neglected kids. And so that kind of led me into my second business, which is called How to Live Life Fully, which is all about transformational coaching. And it started with people that were struggling with addictions. And a lot of times the system just wants them to go to AA and get fixed. And that works for some, but not for everybody. And so I wrote a book called Sidestepping the 12 Steps, using metaphysical principles to move beyond addiction. And that was back in 2010. So since that time, I've grown in my knowledge and understanding of spiritual laws as soul tools that you can use, and have been helping people go through major life transitions. Everything's from the divorce and what's on the other side, significant breakups, but also when 2020 hit, started taking people through a lot of how do you navigate life transitions, meaning career, meaning reinventing, what you do to make money, how does that look like? And so that because of that, I decided it was easier to put everything that I knew up here into a book, which I did. And it's called Awaken the Power Within. And it's really just a little primer and a guide for people to be able to ask themselves, are they going in the right direction? Are there skill sets that they have that they're just not using? Because you can use perspective to change things, meaning that you might be very good at talking to other people. You might be personable. Well, that could be a great skill that you can reframe, rename, and use in resumes, use to building your own business. There's a multitude of ways that people can go about it. And so what most people don't understand is, like, how can you be a tarot card reader? How can you do, spiritual transformational coaching and still practice law? And my
Exactly. That's
response,
what I was about to ask
yeah,
you. How do you
yeah,
you wear so many hats? How do you
yeah.
juggle?
Well, I think it's understanding the big concept, which is it's all the law. It's how you apply it. So most times people know if they go to a red light, they should stop because they're either going to get a ticket or get into an accident. But when people hit what I call spiritual red lights, many times they don't recognize them. nor do they have the tools. They all have them within themselves, but they don't know it and they don't know how to access it. Likewise, there are times where people are seeing green lights, spiritual green lights, and they don't move forward. It's like the people that are on their cell phones, at a green light and you have to honk at them to get them to go. Same concept. So because I use the spiritual laws in how I live my life, it allows me to do all sorts of things and not be labeled and put in one box.
Got you. That's very motivating. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you being an entrepreneur yourself for so many years, what is that one mistake you think new entrepreneurs could easily avoid?
Wow. I think the biggest one is the financial piece,
Mm-hmm.
managing the money. And it's easy to control your expenses, but it's not always as easy to control the revenue. So I see a lot of people coming in with I kind of say pipe dreams. Oh, if I do this, I'm going to make X amount of dollars, where it hasn't been proven and tried. So I think that a better approach sometimes is to look at the finances and what you're expending and taking a look at what I call ROIs, your return on the investment. And even though you might have people, and when you're starting out new, you always want clients, right? Or you want to sell your product. How do I get clients? How do I sell my product? And you're way down the back end of building a business. That will come if you've put in the time and the work for what I call back end office stuff. Do you have a clear message? Do you know exactly who you're trying to help? Do you have a mechanism to deliver? If it's excellent customer service, what does that look like? It's just like every person. When you die, you're going to have an epitaph. Well, your business is going to do that too. So what do you want that business to say? Is it that I served X number of people by providing this service or this product? Is that this business is known for excellent customer service? What are you known for? Are you known for your expertise? What is it that you want to be known for? Then you start looking at expenses. Is this something that I need a website for? Do I need to spend the money now for the site and all the bells and whistles? Or would I be better off spending time and getting my messaging and my branding done? And what would be the best way to do that? Is it online? Is it in person? Is it a hybrid of the two? And then the other thing people tend to overlook is the idea of freebies and free help. And it may be, and I've done this so many times, it may be that I'll provide a free service. And I'm doing that because it aligns with what my core values are, which is following one of the spiritual laws. But I can guarantee you, every time I give from a place of value, not to get, but to give and to help, that I'm putting energy in. This is more the spiritual side of me, right? But you're putting energy in, and it's going to come back in different ways if you know how to read the different signs. And there's many times where I have done something where I thought, well, yeah, this is the right thing to do. Yes, I'm doing it for business purposes, where my name gets out there. But I'm amazed at people that will come back and say, well, you helped so-and-so. And they come through the door that way. So I think new business, to net it, is look at the expenses. You don't have to do everything at once, but you need a step-by-step process to get there.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. Hey, how about why don't we do a little role play to know how to start a company and what are the things we need to do?
Okay.
Ready? You game?
Yep, I'm game.
Got it. Hey, Kelli, I want to start a business. Say, I want to start a business online for my ebooks and planners, but I don't know how to start, where to start. Can you help me with that, please?
Yeah, my first question would be why? What
Why?
intrigues you about the planners and the ebooks?
Right. Ebooks are, my favorite because you can just have it on your phone and read it anywhere, anytime. You get a little free time, you can switch over to your book, the reading mode. And planners, I believe all of us should follow some kind of a planner which will keep our schedule on time and we can do much more when we stick to that. So
Mhm.
that is my basic idea of this online business, so that people will be benefited with these two services, if I could say.
Okay, so do you see those services as separate or the same?
Uh, Two different products,
Yeah,
ebooks, and
would it be the same business or would you have two
yes,
different businesses?
no, it's the same business.
Okay, so you would, and do you have a name for your business?
Let's see, JK Publications
Okay, okay,
or
because
JK Books, yeah.
yeah, because sometimes the most important thing is naming your business because
Hmm.
depending on how you name your business, you're going to go down two different paths.
How is that?
For example, in the law, most times lawyers will name their business after themselves, and it's easier to brand yourself than it is to brand, say, a name of a business. So, depending on how you name your business, you're going to create different methods for getting your word out, right? The reason why I asked you the first question about why you want to do it, because in business, if you don't have a really clear why I'm doing this, you're going to give up when things get tough. It's your why that is going to drive you forward, regardless of what goes on. And I'll give you an example. I think everybody has driven around and seen on every corner a Starbucks, right? Well,
Yes.
Starbucks was created by a guy named Howard Schultz.
Hmm.
Howard Schultz's idea of Starbucks was not a coffee shop. His idea, his why, was I want to create a place for community, for small gatherings, for community centers. Howard Schultz put in 242 loan applications and was rejected 242 times because the banks didn't see his vision of what this coffee place would look like. But because he had a strong why and he knew this would be good, this would be good for others, this would be good for communities, this would be good for students, this would be good for, stay at home moms, whatever, he kept persevering. And so when people are starting a business, that why is really important because you will have things come at you that will make you feel like giving up. So the why, just in our role play, your why needs to be a lot stronger than
Okay.
I like to read. Well, that
Mm,
or I enjoy books. Well, lots of people do, but that could be a hobby. If you want it
correct.
to be a business, it's who are you serving? You have this great idea. How is it going to help other people? How are you serving others? Because businesses that really succeed are in the business of serving others.
Got
And
you.
so, even with a planner,
Hmm.
those can serve other people. But who do you want to serve? Who's the group that would benefit most? So, so those are kind of the type of questions and things for people that are doing the career changes. You need a
Hmm.
really strong why. And then the next step would be if everything all worked out, okay, and you have this successful business, what would it look like? What would you be doing? And since I'm into spiritual well-being, how are you balancing all the other areas of your life? Because a lot of times with starting up businesses, people don't take the time needed for self-care, for reflection, for creativity, for brainstorming activities. Now, this can all tie into your planner process, right?
Correct,
But
correct.
you need to, when you start a business, it has to be in balance. It can't just be, and that's what I see a lot of people doing. They rush. Let's get all this done.
Yes.
And there needs to be breaks. There needs to be reflection. You need time for what I call spirit to intervene, because your way might be great, but there could be something better. And so if you rush into something not thinking about how can we improve this? How can we make it better? If I have a vision that it's going to be all automated in the future, should I be learning steps right now on how to
Hmm.
get that automation? Because when you start building, you're going to be pulling your hair out if you're going to be trying to automate later on.
Yeah. So do you start automating when you actually start the business or once it kind of settles down?
Very beginning. Yeah. For example, with How to Live Life Fully, I
Mm.
have a website, and in order to gain clients, I have a newsletter.
Okay.
Well, I would love to know for people who visit the website to have them go into the newsletter so you can quote nurture the leads or develop relationships. There's many different facets to it. So at the very beginning, that's why you need to kind of create how your business is going to work and operate. And so it's like if you have a website, how are you going to capture addresses? How are you going to capture things? And what things do you want to capture would be your first question, right? And then the next thing is what technology is available to allow you to do that. And at the beginning, people usually use an Excel spreadsheet, which is fine, but because Excels can be imported into other systems, right? But you need to start figuring out what you want to create. And for me, the less administrative time I take, that's better for my ROI.
Got you. Yeah. You are spending much less in the daily errands, but where you can focus much more on other better things.
Yeah, yeah. And and so the automation piece, like, when you practice law, they have law software that does an awful lot for you. And
Mm-hmm.
so those pieces are, how often do you contact clients? Do you have a system in place that you automatically get a list or follow-ups or something that reminds you to stay in touch with people? Do you have a system that if you have deadlines, you can set something up so you hit all your deadlines? Do you have a way to collect money so that if somebody is past due and owing, you know this? Do you have nice little reminders that you can automatically send to people?
Mm.
All of this to me is back end stuff. And then do you have ways to close out clients and be able to say, gee, if it's a service, I enjoyed doing business with you. Anytime I can be of assistance. If you know anybody, do you have a process that you can ask clients for referrals? Do you have a process in place that you can ask for reviews or testimonials? Do you have a process in place that tells you, hey, reach out to somebody and see how I can help them out, so that you're not always give me, give me. I'm
Correct. Yeah.
offering, I'm offering, I'm offering, I'm here. Yeah. So I think the net result is, when you're asking about automation, the sooner you can start automating processes, the more you're freeing yourself up to serve clients, do client acquisition, the face to face, and do creativity and keep creating and developing things, products, services that will serve your customer. Because what works in 2019 did not work in 2020, is not working in 2025, and won't
Mm-hmm.
be working in 2030. So part of the business process is also lifelong learning. Where are the cutting edges? Where are the trails? What is something that, is new and upcoming? And you have to have time in your day to be able to explore the frontier if you want to stay there, if you want to be, successful and prosperous and offering clients the best service. You don't want to offer them something that's kind of antiquated.
Got you. Right. So let's say I got the company name, my objective, the strong why, and I even got a good amount of the blueprint for my business, the back end. I've taken care
Yep.
of all that now.
hmm
Now I got to register my company.
hmm
How do I do that?
It depends what state you live in. Since I
Mm-hmm.
am only licensed in Colorado and New York, I can only speak for my states. But most states have what's known as a Secretary of State's office where businesses register. Depending on your tax laws in your state, that helps determine what business entity structure you select. So you have a wide choice of business entity structures. There's a sole proprietorship, there's partnerships, there's LLCs, limited liability companies, there's corporations, there's S corporations, there's limited liability partnerships, there's all sorts of different names. Your best bet is to go and speak to like a tax attorney or a business attorney to say, given my financial resources and given the vision that I have for my business, which type of entity would you suggest I create? And depending on that decision, it's like a flow chart. Depending on that decision, will lead you to filing different forms with the state. Depending on which type of entity you pick, there are different business documents that need to be created to open up business bank accounts.
All right. Yeah. So your kind of company, you need to furnish that to start your bank account.
Right. And for different banks, the other thing people should do is look around to the different banks that you have, because what you're doing from a personal checking and savings business could be very different if you have a business entity. There could be different requirements as to minimum balances. There could be different perks that you receive as a business as opposed to just being an individual. So go around and check with different banks to see which bank is best for my business, right? Some banks will cover up to $1,000, $2,000 of overdrafts. Other banks will want you to have a minimum of $1,000 in a business checking account. Otherwise, they charge you to 14, $20 per month.
Okay.
So
it's better to find out what kind of a bank or the bank account you need to open for your business.
Yes. Yeah. And then the other real key when it comes to the money is, even if you decide you're going to do a solopreneur business or an individual partnership, set up a separate bank account for that and don't use your own personal and checking accounts. Why? Because it's very hard to untangle what's a business expense, what's a personal expense. But if you have them coming out of one account, then it's easy. Everything goes into this account, my business account. If I'm a roofer, everything's going into this account. I'm paying out of this account. And then I pay myself out of this account and just move it to my personal. So it's easy to track money.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it is less confusing, and especially for the tax purpose, it is very clear.
It is. And it makes it easy if people use things like QuickBooks or other accounting software, that it's a separate bank account rather than getting roped into everything else that you do. Yeah.
Got you. So, Kelly, what is the difference between registration and business licensing? Are they the same or different?
They're different. They're different. Yeah. Business registration is where you are creating a separate legal entity. Instead of it being Bob, it's Bob's Roofing. It, in the legal sense of things, the law creates a legal fiction. So Bob's Roofing is a separate entity. Bob's Roofing can get sued, right? Whereas if Bob's Roofing if it's Bob's Roofing and it's like an LLC or a corporation, you can insulate yourself from what they call personal liability. Okay. Bob's Roofing can also get business insurance, which is something we haven't talked about, but depending on the type of business that you run, you should look at insurance. Some places it's professional liability insurance. Other places, it could be errors and omissions. And a good insurance agent would be able to tell you what type of insurance you need for your business. And sometimes say it'll cover loss. It could cover loss of materials, loss of materials if you're making things. It could cover, say, if you've made a mistake, errors and omissions. So a good insurance company could. But the registration is where you are creating, think of it as a birth. You're birthing a child. That's called a business. That's the birth. That's the birth certificate, the registration. Now, suppose this child wants to play football. Well, you need permission to play football. That are your licenses. If you want to run a liquor store, you need permission from the state and you get a business license for liquor stores. Not every business needs a license. So depending on what type of business you're creating, you also need to research what kind of businesses licenses you need. Some businesses need a sales tax license because they're selling products. They're taxing their customers. If you're offering a service such as law or coaching, because it's service, there's no tax. So I don't need a sales tax license. Okay. So depending on what you do, the doing is the licenses. So it's what your child wants to do. If they want to play football, you need a license, right? If they want to maybe make cake in the kitchen with mom, not so much. That's a service. They're helping mom. So if that makes it easier for people.
Beautifully put. Yeah, very well explained. So, as you said, LLC is for a limited liability company. Does it still require an insurance, a business insurance?
Usually, I guess the way to answer this is that when you create a business, you don't need to insure yourself. But, and this is, it's like the yes, but answer, right? But if you want to contract with other people, they might require you to have insurance. If you want to protect yourself personally against getting sued, having some sort of business insurance product is a really wise decision to make. And for me personally, I have never had lawsuits, for my businesses. But I sleep well at night knowing that if I did, I have insurance that can help me navigate through those murky waters. So I do. I think insurance is really important. Now, some people, when they're first starting out, it might be one of those expenses where I can't afford it yet. But when I start selling or I start having customers, then I'm getting my insurance.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Correct. And is this the right time to talk about trademarking as well?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So how does trademarking work and why should we trademark? If you could tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this is based on old knowledge, okay, because it's been a while since I've, done trademarking. But
okay.
any time you create something, whether it is books, whether it is trademarks, whether it's logos, in order to protect your ownership, you should trademark it and/or copyright it. The copywriting piece used to be really easy. It used to be that as long as you put something in a letter and sent it to yourself and didn't open the letter, it was copyrighted. That's back in the old days before computers. That's how they used to do things. There's nothing wrong with the old ways. If you've
Okay.
created something and you mark it, you mail it to yourself, you put it in there, it's proof this is the date that it was done, right? So that's the old school way. Now, when it comes to things like, trademarking your business, typically that's logos, that people want to do. And that you can do, and that's federal. So some people will go to an attorney that specializes in trademarks and copyrights. And they usually do patents as well, because patents kind of goes along with all of that. And that's where you can sit down with somebody, get the process, and get all the dates and everything in place. So that is that necessary? Yes. And especially with the internet, because there's a lot of magpies and thieves out there. That's what they used to call musicians, is that they were magpies and thieves, because they'd take a line or a chord from one person and use it in another song, right? And a lot of people may not even realize, subconsciously they've seen that idea, they've seen that logo, and start using it. And you really want to protect your ownership of the name of your business. The name, at least, usually is good when you do the registration. But things like copyrights, books, copywriting, slogans, copy or trademarking your logos, that's a different entity. Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. Yeah. So I think your logos, your name is trademarked, and the kind of business you do is what is patented.
The process that you do, the type of business you do isn't patented, but suppose like there's somebody I know who makes sinks that recycle water. His process of manufacturing and the whole scientific process of how this works with existing plumbing, all of that technology is patented. So when people think of technology, it doesn't have to be software and Apple and Microsoft. Technology can also be, hey, I found a new way to make a light switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Something new and unique
Yeah.
and functioning,
Yeah.
most importantly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, that's very helpful. So I created my company, I registered, I licensed, I even got my insurance, the trademarks done. What else should I do for
And the
this
bank account.
imaginary company?
And you've gotten the bank account, right? So
Yes, I got the bank account
all of
too.
those are good. Then most people start with business planning, right? And that's where you start visualizing, what is my business going to look like in a year's time, 3 years time, 5 years time?
Mm,
How do you get from point A to point B? And usually in that process, when people start doing that, limiting beliefs and paradigms will come up for them,
mm,
because they're trained to think a certain way. That's why sometimes getting in other groups with other entrepreneurs, they can call it masterminding, partners in believing, a group of like-minded individuals where you meet a couple times a month at least and brainstorm ideas back and forth. Have people look at a website. I'm thinking it's great.
correct. Yeah, because you created it, you thought you put all your efforts and ideas into it, so you believe that it is going to work. But
Right.
what does
Yeah.
person B or person C think?
Right. And so the business plan is, what are you selling? How much are you selling it for? Who are
Hmm.
you selling it to? Why do they want to sell? Do you have a home office? And with home offices, that's a decision, because if you deduct taxes from your taxes, home offices, it can impact your capital gains when you sell your home, which people don't know. So, do you want to do that? Do you want to have something like an office evolution or one of the new suites where you can actually have a business address and book rooms in meeting rooms and conference rooms for
Yeah,
clients.
there is a lot of shared workspaces these days.
Yes, and does that make more sense? I think the public is very used to it. And they
Mm,
also realize that instead of paying 2 to 5 thousand a month for rent, you're not passing that cost on to them. They're just as happy to sign documents via DocuSign and to do Zoom calls than to meet you in person. But sometimes those shared office spaces, what that could do for you, and this is another angle, what that can do for you is if you're going to create Google business profiles, which is another step in this foundational piece, you can use physical addresses. And most times people don't want to list their home address, they want privacy.
true.
And you
Yeah. I mean,
can't,
of course, that is very understandable too.
right. And so if you have like a shared public office space, you can use that as an address that Google will verify so that you can get your Google business profile and start collecting reviews. And that's another tool, Google business profile, to advertise your business. You can
Mm.
put upcoming events there. You can put Q&As, all sorts of things out there.
All right. So, Kelly, what would be the basic business plan look like? What should it actually contain?
I think it depends on the purpose of your business plan. Okay.
Okay. No,
If you're
let's say for my business, this is online ebooks and planner, which are all, there is no physical product at all here.
right.
So I just need a simple uh, a one pager
Yeah, pretty
business
much.
plan. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty
What all
much.
should I include in that?
I think, if you're doing that, it's your why. It's putting your vision in. Then it's taking a look at all the different pieces of a business. So you've got your financial piece, you've got client acquisition, you have marketing, you have delivery of your service, right? Customer service would be on the back end. Marketing referrals could kind of go underneath there. But you just take the major sections that you have for a business and then you start developing, well, what does this look like? So for your business planner, where are you going to sell? If we're going to do the product, you say online. Well, is that Etsy? Is that Shopify? Is that through your website? Are you going to get with maybe local markets and do farmers markets and sell there? So it's researching. Where are all the places I can sell planners? The next question, where are places that I could sell planners that people aren't there yet?
Yeah, it's not saturated yet.
Right, right. Then, you move into marketing. Okay, could I do a talk on the value of planners, why I love them so much, how much they've helped me? If I do a talk like that, can I do it for free? Can I do it at a Rotary Club, at a business group? Are there businesses that I can work with, small businesses, to be able to do that benefit, that pro bono, and and give them each a planner?
So all that goes into my planner.
Yeah.
And that is for my reference and for myself, right? I did not need to publish it or
Right.
get it certified or no such thing.
Yeah. 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 So each and the whole thing is a plan is not static. Once you
Yes.
make the plan, you need to keep going back and revising it. So as long as you have the major sections and you put something down and your action steps. Okay. So it's a matter of if I'm going to focus on marketing this week, what specific things am I going to focus on? Am I going to attend 5 meetings? And if so, when? And use your planner, right? Put them in your planner to figure it out. A lot of times, there's a saying I have that says, vision without action is a daydream. And action without vision is a nightmare. So you need both.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah. I
You
like the
need
later
both.
part.
Yeah. So you need to plan, but you also have to act. And then you have to revise based on the actions in the plan. So it's both.
All right. So maybe it's wise to visit every month initially, and then once it stabilizes, probably 6 months once. So revisit and
I
recreate
do
your
every 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, okay.
I do. It doesn't take long, but I can look and I'd rather catch it early than wait
Mm.
6 months and catch it later. And also the other technique or trick I use is I have another little journal I carry with me, right? And if I get an idea, which happens a lot, I jot it
Yes.
down. And what
Hmm.
I find is a lot of people, new business owners, start acting on these new ideas. And those new ideas are actually distractions. Some of them are going to be part of my plan, some of them aren't. But just because I get what I call a download and an idea doesn't mean I need to do it now. But I need a bucket. I need a place to collect all of these great ideas. So every couple of weeks, I look through those ideas. Some of them,
Hmm.
I'm like, well, thank goodness I did not do that. Others, oh, yeah, I need to do that. And now I've got more information on how it will be better implemented.
Got you. Yeah, very, yeah, doable.
Just like people collect names, for business contacts, and they used to do it, in address books or Rolodex. Think of a Rolodex for ideas.
I mean, pretty cool. Yeah. I think visiting it frequently and understanding, and as you said, putting down your ideas and then incorporating them is very, very good. Yeah, very
Hmm.
effective.
Yeah, yeah. It helps avoid log jams down the road if you wait too long, because then it just looks so massive and people can get overwhelmed with how much there is. Whereas if you just focus on a day at a time, a week at a time, it makes the whole process easier so that when you look back, you're shocked at how much you've accomplished.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, small chunks and you can accomplish a lot.
Hmm.
Anything else you would like to add, Kelly?
I think the only other thing to think about, and it's key, when you're defining your why, it needs to tie into what I call your core values. Just like corporations will say, here's our mission statement, here's what we value, even if it's your own company and you're the only one there, you need to tie it into your why, needs to tie into your core values. That way, you're always remaining what I call spiritually aligned. And that way, when you move forward in your business, you'll be able to make better decisions, because if it doesn't line up with my core values, then it's a great idea, but it's not for me. And it's easier to
That's
make those decisions. Mhm.
Yeah, that's when you can decide whether you want to go further or not.
Yes, exactly.
Very nice, very nice. So we have this fast five questions for you, where you can give me short answers or even a word would do.
Mhm. Okay.
All right. So, what's the best advice you have ever received?
There's no such word as can't.
Oh, wow. Okay. If you were to visit day one of the day you started your business, what would you do differently?
Believe more in yourself. I think it
Got
would be believing more in yourself and not listening as much to other people.
What's your advice for young aspiring entrepreneurs? One advice if you could give.
When you look back and you're 60 and 70, you don't want the regrets. I wonder what would have happened if. If you have the passion to start a business, do it. There's never a better time.
Oh, beautiful. If you were not what you are today, Kelly, what would you be?
Probably a traveling musician.
Oh, traveling and musician.
Yes,
Beautiful, beautiful.
yes. Hmm.
One word to describe you?
Eclectic.
Oh, cool. I like that. Fascinating. That was fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today and your inputs. I'm sure our audience have got a lot of, to-do list and actionable items. So thanks so much for sharing your knowledge with us. Wish you
Yeah.
all the best.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.